Well, I frankly thought that after yesterday's debate, there would be a reconsideration and some political parties would soften their line and be embarrassed and ashamed and say, we are not going to ask for this. Some of these MPs say we need to reach Parliament on time. I don't know, can you get to Parliament only on the first row of a flight? Can you get to Parliament only after drinking free tea and coffee? Can you get to Parliament only after being handheld across the airport by airport staff? By not standing in a queue? Can you get to Parliament only if somebody else does your check-in, somebody else carries your bag? And today's most shocking response, Rajiv Rudy. Let's welcome everyone. Rajiv Rudy, Harish Salve, Kiran Bedi, Shobha De, KC Tyagi of the JDU and KP Ramalingam of the DMK. The most shocking response has come from MPs themselves. Of them, the one who takes the cake, Rajiv Rudy, is Ram Gopal Yadav. He says out of 125 crore people, there are only a few hundred MPs. So accept it. We are privileged people. And he goes on to say, Rajiv Rudy, can you hear me?
Yes.
He goes on to say
I can hear you.
That there is a difference between theory and reality. Accept it. In other words, in theory, we are all the same. But in reality, we are a different strata of society. How do you think people will take that?
Well, let's get back to one crux, and that we are no different strata of society. And this hang-up about politicians is actually accumulated into a lot of hate about the political behavior of individuals in politics, whether it is members of parliament, whether it's state legislatures. And it is all true when you have red lights, when you have beacons, when you have huge security, when you jump queues. Why is an Indian politician hated? Because he wants to jump the queue. He thinks he's above law. He thinks he's a privileged mark. Yes, he has a privilege inside Parliament to speak in Parliament, occasionally also disrupt Parliament. But his privileges cannot be scattered across. He will have an identity card to go to the Ministry of Home Affairs if he is to enter. I can understand that facilitation. But I can tell you this circular which had come out in 2007, of course the UPA government, and I'm sure there must have been a similar circular before that. It was basically oriented towards NASL. Now, if they had written that if you are a business class passenger, and of course Parliament pays for the business class, which is a different question altogether, then there are privileges associated with privileged business class, which all of these things are given to a business class passenger. Because just relax.
So you are wrong.
You are just relaxed. You are just relaxed. But why can't you hear? Because someone is going to come and tell you a few facts which are correct. I am also with you on one page, and when you talk, why can't you hear?
Sir,
let us come back. Let us come back. Because you are not in the habit of listening, you have played the story. My friend, Mr. Arnab, if you want this show to go on, let me complete. There are privileges associated with the business class. They are given a business launch internationally or nationally. Now, when this spills over to the economy class or the low cost, they are not supposed to oblige any of these circulars, and these circulars are contrary to the basic fundamentals of a low-cost airline. But I can tell you, this is a frivolous circular which must be done away with it, because it brings more bad image to members of parliament than doing them any good. And
now let me tell you. Now you've spoken. Now can I say something?
Mr. Arnab, if someone wants to talk things better than you, why do you have to stop him? So please relax.
Can you listen?
Don't give me a chance.
Will you listen, or is it a privilege of MPs also not to listen?
Just relax. I'm telling you something. You called me to explain things. I'm explaining you. You're getting overboard.
But when you are saying something factually incorrect, it's my responsibility to correct you.
What is factually incorrect, my friend?
Three things are factually incorrect.
What?
No, three things are factually incorrect.
Business class? No,
1 second, please.
What is factually incorrect?
1 second, sir.
What is business class tickets are entitled to certain facilities. Business class tickets, whether it is A, B or C holding, are entitled to certain facilities.
No, Mr. Rudy, on that also you are wrong. Unfortunately,
you are not aware, Mr. Arnab. No, many things you are not aware.
Mr. Rudy, let me, Mr. Rudy,
I'll tell you why. What is correct is correct. I am not siding members of parliament. I am saying this is a frivolous exercise which should be got rid.
Mr. Rudy,
no, please listen to me.
Mr. Rudy, 1 second, will you hear me? Will you hear me or will you not hear me?
Why can't you correct yourself? No, Mr. Arnab, I'm not ready to listen because what you are suggesting are not factually. These are
Mr. Rudy, you are 1000% factually wrong today. Don't do this.
Just a second, my friend. Just a second, my friend. Offering a cup of tea or a lounge are not great things. It should be got rid of. And most of the members of Parliament,
Mr. Rudy, why are you looking so worked up on
must
this?
have been craving. Just a second, boss. Most of the members of Parliament do not bother about these things. It is few of them who may have
now,
written, the government may have responded.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Get rid of this letter. Get rid of this letter.
Okay.
And this is what I'm going to suggest. My only submission here is,
Mr. Rudy, first
practical.
now, Mr. Rudy.
They're internationally.
Now, Mr. Rudy.
You are not. I'm telling you what, because other facts which your research assistant have not done, if I'm telling you, you're not liking it, Mr. Arnab, let me explain
Rudy,
it to you only to that limitation.
Mr. Rudy, please.
Some of your job which you're... what I'm trying to say is
Rudy,
this 2007 letter is frivolous. Get rid of them. It is bringing more damage to the members of Parliament than actually. And none of the MPs are cared like this what they're talking about.
I'm glad you have that letter in your hand.
So your argument is absolutely
I'm glad you have that letter in your hand.
You make a very good story this evening because you have talked about members of Parliament, but none of these members of Parliament are actually enjoying what you're saying, and no one is even bothered to get them. It is few of them who want to feel very important, VVIPs as members of Parliament. They create this furor. Out of 850 MPs, there are hundreds of them who stand in a queue, take their boarding card. There is no one to see them off. They board the plane. They're sitting in third line, fourth line. You're not talking about them. Few of them who are created this, you are trying. And I'm sorry if my colleagues in Parliament...
Because otherwise I think I'm going to make an accusation here on Newshour. I'm going to make an accusation on Newshour on a lighter note, Mr. Rudy, that you also believe that only MPs should be listened to. There are 5 other people on the program, 2 other politicians and 3 other, Aam Aadmi who also want to have their words.
So, okay.
Now one first point to you.
We are Aam Aadmi.
First point, I have 3 responses to you and now you listen to me, Mr. Rudy. You spoke, I listened. Now I'll say something and I'll correct you. Don't mind if you are proven to be factually incorrect. It is all right. Even an MP can be completely wrong sometimes.
Who decides between us? Mr. Arnab Goswami, who decides between us?
Sir.
If you are factually
the facts
incorrect,
decide.
me or you?
And if Mr. Rudy is wrong, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Let's come to your facts.
First point. Mr. Rudy says that this is all frivolous. First point. Mr. Rudy, does it matter if you personally term it as frivolous, but on paper your Modi Sarkar continues to distance itself from the discriminatory treatment being given out? Is it true or not that a few days back in a written reply, and let me complete, Mr. Rudy, in a written reply in Parliament, Minister of State for Civil Aviation said that this 2007 circular is what we will go by, and also went on to say, and you can go tomorrow to Parliament and check the facts. And if you are wrong, you can write to me saying I'm wrong. Yet your government said that if those people don't get these facilities, Mr. Rudy, now you must listen to me on why you are wrong here. Mr. Rudy, let me complete. Mr. Rudy, you have to let me complete and go to the others also.
Mr. Goswami, you will not have a free ride to tell what you are saying.
Mr. Rudy,
I will not give you a free ride to speak what you are speaking. You are incorrect. What you are incorrect, let me point out, Mr. Goswami,
Mr. Rudy,
this letter is of 2007,
I'll give you more details.
Which has been reiterated in an answer of an unstarred question, and half the world does not know that these facilities are there, nor they are being implemented, nor they are existing, and nor does it happen. For you, it has made a big story. I said that the minister, if this letter was there, it is an answer to a question, boss. He is not going to take a decision because there is an answer to a question.
So he is declared,
which is a repetition of a 2007
Mr. Rudy, I'm really sorry, you have been in government.
2007.
Mr. Rudy, you have been in government. Now let me get the others in.
No.
Mr. Rudy, let me get the others. Let's be democratic also. You can't. No, Mr. Rudy, you can't carry on like this. Because Mr. Rudy, you are a member of Parliament and an ex-minister. I am completely shocked. I am completely shocked today. I have never been so shocked at someone who says it's only a start.
You are wrong, boss. You are completely wrong.
It's a reply to a start question. Mr. Rudy,
you deserve a break. You deserve a break.
Mr. Rudy, I am telling you clearly, go back and check your facts.
No, I will not.
Go back and check your facts. Does your government lie in Parliament?
This is
Does your government lie in Parliament? Does your government lie in Parliament?
You are absolutely illogical. You are. So many people watch your television. You are absolutely illogical.
All right. Now,
there is
I think the issue is
Parliament. You fish it out and you say this is the policy of the government. This is not the policy of the government.
Okay, now let's get some others into this debate, Mr. Rudy.
Now you are absolutely wrong, Mr. Arnab Goswami. This is nothing to do with the present government. This is a 2007 circular, frivolous, useless, and absolutely inapplicable.
Now, Mr. Rudy, if you finished all those long adjectives, and by the way, just remember one thing.
No, I can't allow you to speak whatever you want. You have taken a choice to call me on the show.
Mr. Rudy, what is your decision?
I cannot allow you because absolutely wrong. Your research team has not done any homework.
Now, Mr. Rudy, you will have to hear some others. You will have to hear some others.
I will hear from others, but not from you because you are incorrect.
Now, Mr. Rudy, one second. I know today I'm not popular among MPs. I don't care, frankly, Mr. Rudy. I don't care if all the MPs hate me because I think what I'm saying here is a very basic question, and I'd like to go to Harish Salve next. I'd like to go to Harish Salve next because Mr. Rudy can go back and check whether his minister said what he said or not. And in fact, I would like to say his Minister of State for Civil Aviation went on to say they are VVIPs. We have to give them something. Mr. Rudy, please now I have to reduce the volume. Mr. Rudy, your Minister of State for Civil Aviation said they are VVIPs. We have to give them something. You don't even know what your minister said. You don't even know what his written reply was. You don't even know that it is not optional for a security person or a government official to extend those so-called facilitation to all the members of Parliament. It's not a choice for them. And you don't even know, Mr. Rudy, that 1.2 billion Indians don't get those facilities. But only you do.
Not.
So, Mr. Rudy, the culture in this country must change, and I hope you will change with it as well. Mr. Harish Salve, let's go to the bigger issue. Mr. Rudy, here are some others, please. Harish Salve, the question is of mindset. The question is of mindset. The question is bigger. The question is of mindset, which is not being addressed today. Mr. Rudy, 1 minute, please. Let others come in. I can see that you're continuing to speak, but I think you need to hear others as well. Harish Salve is speaking now. Harish Salve is speaking. Mr. Rudy, this is not Parliament where you can outshout everyone. Yes, please.
No, it doesn't matter, but you cannot have a joyride in all the issues. When
okay, now Mr. Rudy, Mr. Salve is speaking now. Mr. Salve is speaking now. Yes.
Yes, he would be. I know.
Now, 1 second, Mr. Rudy, please.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Arnab, the problem is, as you rightly put your finger, it's not a question of what minister said when. I think we need to raise this larger issue in India, and we need to keep raising this issue. We are still in a feudal mindset. So when a person becomes an MP, as one of the learned MPs said, we 1800 are superior to the rest 1.2 billion. This is the mindset against which we are fighting the Lal Batti culture case. If business class passengers get something, they get something. You don't need a circular reiterating that business class passengers. And I think Mr. Rudy is right when he says the sooner the circular is scrapped, the better it is. No airline gives the kind of handling which this circular talks about. I have also traveled business class, and I don't think any airline gives this kind of service. And if they do, good for them. You don't need a circular. The more fundamental thing is, we need now, I think a time has come where we should have complete transparency on salaries and perquisites of members in Parliament. Nobody begrudges them their salaries and perquisites as long as they make it open, they make it public, they go to Parliament, they put it in a law, they have it passed. And the people know what they are giving to themselves. And that is the kind of scrutiny which it must bear, not these kind of executive circulars sneaked out to further this kind of feudalism in India.
Simple point, as a point of correction, as I get some other panelists into the debate, and it will be worthwhile for everyone to listen to this. 3 points are made. One, the point was made that this is, Mr. Rudy tried to make a point that this is not only for MPs, this is for business class passengers. The government's circular deals only with members of Parliament, and it deals with facilities to be offered to members of Parliament by Airport Authority of India or other airport operators. Point number 2, he makes a point that this is not government policy. In answer to a written question, it's a reiteration of the government policy. The government has a choice to junk the policy or keep the policy. The government keeps the policy. Point number 3, he goes on to say that many members of Parliament don't need it. I think Mr. Rudy and others like him should go and see the responses of all people, including that of Meenakshi Lekhi, who says, what may be a privilege to some may be a necessity for us. Renuka Chaudhary, who says, we work 24/7, as if nobody else works 24/7. Ram Gopal Yadav, who says, we are VVIPs, accept it, make no mistake. In other words, this is the biggest snub, ladies and gentlemen. It is the biggest snub to the hardworking, all other hardworking people of this country. And I am just appalled that after this snub, there is an attempt at denying the fact that this was happening. That we expose it is our job. Because I'm not in the business of seeking brownie points with members of parliament or MPs. But Mr. Rudy and anyone, and especially, for example, KC Tyagi can go and take a straw poll. KC Tyagi जी आप बाहर जाके पूछ लीजिए लोगों को कि लोग कैसा फील करते हैं, आप लोग जो ये स्पेशल प्रिविलेजेस ले रहे हैं, लोगों को कितना गुस्सा है इसके बारे में, आप इसको गिव अप क्यों नहीं करते? राजीव रूडी कहते हैं इसको गिव अप करते हैं, क्यों नहीं आप गिव अप करते? वो कहते हैं कि 2007 की सर्कुलर को नकार दीजिए, गिव अप कर दीजिए केसी त्यागी।
मैं कहना चाहता हूं
जी,
मिस्टर रूडी भारतीय जनता पार्टी में हैं और मैं इनकी पार्टी के खिलाफ हूं, लेकिन मंत्री होते हुए आज तक इनके खिलाफ अपने परिवार के लोगों को एक भी मुफ्त टिकट देने का आरोप नहीं लगा है। एयर इंडिया के जो अधिकारी हैं उन्होंने 500 टिकट जो हैं अपने परिवार के लोगों को मुफ्त में खैरात में बांटे हैं। तो ये जो वीवीआईपी सिंड्रोम है ये पॉलिटिकल लोगों में नहीं, ये सभी जगह फैला हुआ है और हमारा माइंड सेट ऐसा नहीं है। अभी मैंने
तो सिर्फ
एक मिनट
त्यागी जी, ये सर्कुलर सिर्फ एमपीज के बारे में क्यों है? ये तो एमपीज के बारे में है ना?
ये तो सही,
और आप जस्टिफाई क्यों कर रहे हैं?
कोई जो बात आपको अच्छी नहीं लगती आप सुनते क्यों नहीं है? आपको जो बात अच्छी नहीं लगती उन्होंने भी सुनते क्यों नहीं है? आप सुनिए तो सही।
आप भी सुन लीजिए।
पिछले सप्ताह,
यस मिस्टर त्यागी,
पिछले सप्ताह एक मिनट में खत्म कर रहा हूं मैं। पिछले सप्ताह आधा दर्जन जो लोग आपातकाल में बंद रहे थे वो मेरे पास आए। मैंने प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को चिट्ठी लिखी कि इनके परिवार में खाने के लिए नहीं है। कई राज्य सरकारों ने 5-5, 8-8 हजार रुपए महीना इनको ऑनरेरियम के रूप में दिया है। मैं मोदी जी आपसे कहना चाहता हूं, आप नॉन कांग्रेस मूवमेंट की उपज हैं, कृपया पूरे देश
आप मेरे सवाल के बारे में आप जो इशू है इस पर बात ही नहीं करना चाहते, जो इशू है उस पर बात ही नहीं करना चाहते आप। नहीं, आप बात ही नहीं करना चाहते। हम तो कह रहे हैं कि ये जो आपने जो 2007 की सर्कुलर है इसको रिजेक्ट कराएंगे कि नहीं? आप रिजेक्ट कराइए ना। नहीं चाहिए हमको पीए, हमारे पर्सनल असिस्टेंट को अंदर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है। एयरपोर्ट डायरेक्टर आपको कहना चाहिए, द एयरपोर्ट डायरेक्टर शुड टेक केयर ऑफ द पैसेंजर्स, नॉट टेक केयर ऑफ एमपीज। द सिक्योरिटी स्टाफ शुड एंश्योर दैट एमपीज स्टैंड इन लाइन। MPs are not babies. MPs are not babies that somebody else has to do their check-in for them. Why does somebody have to call the airport director earlier saying a member of parliament is traveling? This is an insult to the people of this country, Mr. Tyagi. I'd like to get Kiran Bedi and Shobha Dey. Kiran Bedi. I'd like to get Kiran. There is a clear disconnect between you and me. There is a clear. आप मेरी बात नहीं समझ रहे और मैं आपकी बात समझ नहीं सकता हूं। हमें डिस्कनेक्ट है त्यागी जी।
मैं भी आपकी बात समझ
किरण बेदी कुछ कहना चाहेंगे आप? Kiran Bedi is responding to KC Tyagi, please. We're going to open the phone lines in some time. Kiran Bedi.
Arnab, give me a minute to complete my statement.
Yeah.
Let's understand what privileges stand for. Privileges stand for rights, advantages, immunity, special benefits, superiority, exemptions, license and authorization. But every right has a responsibility. That's another portion. So let's understand. I would agree with Mr. Salve. I think it needs to be specified what are the rights our MPs have, what are the advantages, specialty they have because of being MPs, what are the immunities which are already laid down in the Indian Constitution they have, what are the special benefits they have, what is the superiority? No, let me complete.
आपने तो टिकट अपग्रेड कराया अपने।
I think what is important.
आप पर इल्जाम लगे हैं।
मैं अपनी स्टेटमेंट कंप्लीट कर लूं। मैं आपके बीच में नहीं ना बोली। आपने जो मेरे लिए बोलना है बाद में बोल लेना, लेकिन मैं सिर्फ स्टेटमेंट कंप्लीट कर रही हूं कि एक आम व्यक्ति के लिए अच्छा है। मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि आपको कुछ सुपीरियरिटी नहीं चाहिए या आपको ये चाहिए ये नहीं चाहिए, डिबेटेबल इशू है। आपको कुछ इम्यूनिटी चाहिए, ये तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखा है। मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि एमपी को इम्यूनिटी नहीं होनी चाहिए, ये तो हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखा है। तो आप जो कहते हैं पार्लियामेंट में उसको हम लोग कुछ नहीं, पुलिस आपकी इजाजत बिना नहीं आ सकती। मेरा कहने का, एज मिस्टर हरीश साल्वे सेड, लेट्स हैव अ ट्रांसपेरेंट पॉलिसी एंड रिकॉर्ड दीज आर देयर राइट्स These are the
Miss
advantages.
Bedi,
These are
it
the
is fairly transparent. No, in 2007, they brought in these antiquated, antediluvian, unfair, medieval, unjust circular by which they have been treating the common man like a second-class citizen. These MPs treat the common man like a second-class citizen in airports and on flights. This circular was there. Narendra Modi said, "Ye aam aadmi ki sarkar hai, shobha de." Mr. Modi, the expectations were different. But what did his minister do? He said, this is what we are going to abide by as well. Yes, Shobha de.
I've been listening to this debate with a lot of interest, particularly Mr. Tyagi, who says, oh, this is not our mindset, and that he's also khilaf and so on. What they're actually telling the people of this country is that birds of a feather flock together. When we voted for Modi, when India voted for Modi, it was with the whole idea that it's going to be a no-nonsense government. Immediately after that, we see this nonsense about privileges and everybody sticking together because, of course, they don't want to let go of their perks. They are behaving like neo-Maharajas with zero duties, zero accountability. They squat in houses they have no business to be squatting in after their term is over. They abuse privileges. It's not a question of making use of the privileges available to them. Most of the time, they abuse these privileges. They expect the rest of the citizens to kowtow and bow down and behave like they're chaprasis when they're in public places. Not only do they behave badly, they also go on to assault, abuse, insult people who are doing their jobs, be they people at the airport, at railway stations, at toll nakas. Why should anybody tolerate this? When Mr. Rudy is talking about it's a slanging match between you and him, you can see the arrogance of people in power who don't even tolerate another point of view. They don't know their facts. They're challenging facts without having read what they need to read before they come on a show like this. This is the attitude that the people of India are resentful about, and these are exactly the kind of perks when Renuka Chaudhary says they have to rush to Parliament. Why don't they leave on time like everybody else? That they work 24/7, so does everybody else. But if we are expected to be at a certain point, at a certain place, as is our job, we make sure we also leave on time so that we don't inconvenience others. It doesn't mean that we have roads blocked off for our cars. It doesn't mean we have lackeys carrying our bags. It doesn't mean any of those things. These guys first have to perform before any discernible work has been done in Parliament by any of them. They're already demanding their perks. First perform, get your perks, and nobody will grudge it. No citizen will say they don't deserve it, they have not earned it, if they actually go out there and do what they're supposed to do as public servants, not as our rulers or Maharajas of the 21st century.
Yeah, I can take responses from Mr. Rudy. Mr. Ramalingam is still to come into the debate. Mr. Ramalingam, you want to respond? I'd rather go to Mr. Rudy if you would like to. Mr. Ramalingam, tell me, Mr. Rudy has made this case at the start of the debate, you see. Mr. Rudy tried to make the debate technical, then it did not become technical. Because the question is very basic. Mr. Ramalingam, tell me, why do you need a rule?
Don't engage me, Mr. Arnab Goswami. Please don't engage me. Please don't engage me, not technical. Many things I hear on the television which actually you have no knowledge whatsoever and you can speak anything.
Mr. Rudy, every single fact is being put out there. If you want,
it's technical.
If you want, I'll give you. If you want, I'll share this material with you after the debate.
This is not done. And then you cannot ridicule an argument by saying that Mr. Rudy wanted to make it technical and we escaped it because you are on the basic premise of hate politicians. I agree with you. And I agree with you. And let me complete what I wanted to say in the whole debate. Mr. Ramalingam has worked with me. And of course, just let me complete it. If you wanted me to say, Mr. Arnab, what I wanted to say...
It's not a one-way traffic, it's a democratic society. I can also speak to you. It's not like you speak
democratic,
and
but then you will say, Mr.
Please don't speak to me like that.
When you make, my friend, when you make a remark, that Mr. Rudy wanted to make it technical and I have just salvaged it, then I have a problem. Otherwise, you can speak anything. If I tell you something which is correct, you don't like it, and if it derails your debate, then you say I am technical. My only submission here is just let me complete and then I can go away.
Mr.
Let me complete. Let Mr. Arnab Goswami, let me complete.
1 second, Mr. Rudy.
Let me complete.
Mr. Rudy, to be answered. One second, Mr. Rudy. Now,
When you
please
make a
learn
wrong
to listen a little
statement,
bit.
if you have
It
Mr.
will help
Rudy on the
you.
screen, he will check
It will
you
help
out.
you, Mr. Rudy. I have this
No,
matter has
I
been
can
exposed.
understand.
No,
I don't carry a red light or I don't jump queue, so I can speak as I am speaking.
So, Mr. Rudy, I don't care what you think, but the 7-star treatment that members of Parliament expect is not something that we are going to reconcile ourselves
you can
into.
abuse as
You
many
have to
members
take
of
it back, and
Parliament,
I'm
and
going to
there are
let Mr.
hundreds of members
Ramalingam
of
come in
Parliament
next.
who behave
Yes,
much
Mr.
better.
Ramalingam, give your point of
And
view.
why do you all feel
Mr.
so
Ramalingam,
frustrated about
go ahead,
certain
please. Otherwise,
privileges
Mr.
not
Rudy won't let
coming
you.
to you?
Mr. Ramalingam.
Sir, all the members are not expecting all the facilities and privileges, sir. Sir, somebody may be misbehaved, but for that you cannot accuse all the MPs.
Is it
all
a rule or
MPs
not?
are along with the
Mr.
people only.
Ramalingam,
They will.
Mr.
They can
Ramalingam,
travel.
is it a rule or not?
We are not a.
Mr. Ramalingam,
Sir, we are not a ruler.
Mr. Ramalingam, my question to you is, you are saying we don't expect it. Now, you may not expect it, but the fact is there is your government out here has faced a question and the government has given a reply saying that not only are these the rules, and if these rules are not followed, people will be punished. This is a answer to a question by the Minister for Civil Aviation, and the question is A, whether the government has directed airports and private airlines to extend special privileges to members of Parliament.
No,
B, the details thereof and implementation thereof. C, details of violation which took place so far, if any. I am really sorry if Rajiv Rudy is not aware of the facts. That is his problem. And after the debate,
I'm aware. I've got many more papers than you have, Mr. Onam.
Yes, Mr.
Whenever you take my name, be
Mr.
very careful.
Ramalingam. Yes, Mr.
Don't
Ramalingam.
take this as a notice. This is a courtesy. Sir, this is a courtesy notice. That's all.
You have
it is not
papers.
an order.
You have a whole
It's
team
only
working for the
courtesy.
whole day for
It is a
papers.
courtesy.
And as if we don't know what you're
Nothing more
talking.
than that, sir.
Harish Salve, it's a courtesy, nothing more.
Nigel,
Harish
you are
Salve,
not-
it's a
you are all
courtesy,
not
nothing
discussing-
more. Argument
Yes,
from the
nothing
other
more.
side, it's a courtesy, nothing more.
Yes, we are expecting.
Well, what kind of
Whether
courtesy
you
is it that
call
a
it
member of
nothing
Parliament
more,
does
yes.
not have to lift his
It's
finger?
absolutely a courtesy.
Courtesy that a member of Parliament does not have to lift his finger from the time he
No,
enters
it
the
is-
airport till the time he reaches the destination? What kind of courtesy is this?
Please
Harish Salve
extend-
responding to you. Take it
Please
back.
create an airport.
Harish Salve.
Nobody is
Why do you have
Please
to
create an airport where similar courtesies are given to all passengers. That's the point.
It is merely a courtesy, nothing more than that.
Mr. Arnab Goswami, can you get... Why are you so ruffled, Mr. Arnab Goswami? Can I come back here and ask you a question? My only submission here is you are raising a finger against the government. And thank you very much. You have flagged this issue. This was an old circular and there was no request or an issue that you have brought out. It was a question to an answer which was given to the government. Now you do not... One second,
Shobhade.
Why don't you have the patience to listen? I said this is not the policy statement of the present government. This is not a policy statement of the present government. And if there are wrongs, they need to be corrected.
Now,
Please
Mr.
try to
Rajiv
understand.
Rudy. Now, one second, Mr. Rudy. Now, here are those, Mr. Rudy. Here are
You
others.
can have the
Here are
television, but
others.
please
It's
try to
important.
understand the
It's
procedure.
important. It's
Our
important.
policy statements, my friend,
Mr.
my friend,
Mr.
my
Rudy,
friend, my friend. Our
Mr.
policy
Rudy,
statements changed
Mr. Rudy,
because you have a
please
question in
understand this.
Parliament. Question in Parliament
Now
is
we
to
have to
ascertain
actually
what is
open
the
up some
existing
calls as
situation.
well.
Does it mean that the government will not take a call on it? The answer to a statement is the present position. It is not the policy statement of the new government.
A piece of friendly advice, Mr. Rudy. Mr. Rudy, a piece of friendly advice.
Are you aware there are n number of ministers in...
I want our viewers to observe that Mr. Rudy will not stop.
Ministers in this government who do not carry
I want our viewers to notice that Mr. Rudy, after being corrected, has decided that he's not going to stop.
You can carry on your day because you think you have read something and you can make the MPs look like something which aren't deserving. I am not defending the MPs, but I will definitely tell the hate element which you carry against the politicians and you want to build it up through your television. I know people hate us, but there are n number of MPs who do not do this.
No, one second. Don't insult all the people. Mr. Rudy, don't insult all people. Mr. Rudy, we want our politicians to be responsible and to be accountable.
Mr. Arnab Goswami sounds very ruffled today because there are people who can tell.
Rudy,
I'm not defending the MPs. I'm saying this is not the policy statement.
I'll watch how long you continue.
And if you are misleading the people by saying
I'm watching how long you continue.
the question is a policy statement of the government, it's wrong. It's an existing policy, and there are many things which the government is revisiting. All these things are being revisited. The Prime Minister has very categorically said, nothing doing.
God, Mr. Rudy.
Today, when the Prime Minister leaves this country, no one goes to see him off. No one receives him. Air India, there is no...
Mr. Rudy, it's not between you and me. You don't understand. It's not between you and me. It's not between you and me. It's about the people. It's about the people, Mr. Rudy. And as much as you may not like it, I will not let you just carry on like this. Now the point is, Mr.
Unfortunately, you are wrong at times.
Try this tactic with someone else.
Someone has to come and tell you, you are trying to build up a story.
I am going to open the phone lines now. I am going to open the phone lines now, Mr. Rudy, because I want to hear from the people as well. And we are going to talk to the people.
You are trying to build up something which is not true, and then you have to be told on the screen
how many times will you repeat yourself?
You are not correct. Your research team has not done a good job. We agree that there is a frivolous circulars which needs to be undone, but this is not the policy of the government, and it's not the policy of
Okay, so now stop then,
Mr. Rudy. What you are trying to hint. So for God's sake, never try to build up a story which is incorrect. I'm just indulging you now, Mr. Rudy. Don't call me Mr. Arnab Goswami.
Mr. Rudy, I'll tell you 1 second, please.
Yes,
now, I just want 10, 20 seconds, please. Okay, I'm not speaking to you. I'm going to a caller, and before I go to Mr. Sethuraman, yes, is that Kiran Bedi
wants to have all the hate elements on the television? Doesn't matter.
Yes,
doesn't matter.
1 second. By the way, I'm placing on record. No, by the way, I'm placing on record, and I think viewers need a right to know. Unstart question number 657. To be answered on 15 July 2014. Subject is special privileges to members of parliament. 1 second, let me speak. I'm going to put your audio down now. Question is special privileges to members of parliament. Question from Muhammad Ali Khan to the Minister of Civil Aviation. Question is whether the government has directed the airports and other private airlines to extend special privileges to the members of parliament. In response to that, there is an answer which refers to this annexure. What Mr. Rudy is saying is absolute rubbish. Mr. Rudy doesn't know his facts. It's complete rubbish, and he knows it's rubbish, and which is why he also at the same time says it's time to junk the 2007 circular. I have seen many politicians respond to situations. In this situation, the simple response of a government is, of a political party is, we've been cornered, we're going to junk it. But don't try and question the validity of the news report. The news report is 1,000% correct, Mr. Rudy, and you're 1,000% wrong. Kiran Bedi is coming in, then I'm going to call her. Kiran Bedi. Kiran Bedi, please.
Arnab, I'm sitting here as belonging to no group, no affiliations. Having heard the debate, I'm just wondering, don't mind it, I'm just wondering when Mr. Rudy is saying that this is not the end of the matter, we can revisit it, and this is not the current policy, this is an inheritance. Why don't we take this into account? I'm just wondering. I think this is a very welcome issue, because here is somebody saying this is not a closed matter, this is something which was inherited but placed on the table of the House, but this is not a closed matter. It is open to any revisit, and it is not the current policy. We revisit. Why don't we take this into account? I'm just saying this because here is two matters coming. One is that you think this is a closed matter. Here is another voice which is coming saying it's not a closed matter. It's open to revisit. Why don't we let the listeners know here is a matter which was placed on the House. Here is a matter which is being reopened by the person who belongs to the government in power. That's all I'm trying to say.
And a little bit of empathy as I go to first caller R. Sethuraman, who's an academic from Chennai. My question is, MPs demand a personal butler kind of service to facilitate the check-in, to make it a 7-star kind of experience. Think about the common man who struggles through security despite having genuine reasons for help. And this will have to be taken back, Mr. Rudy. Let me say this to you. This rule will have to be junked. This is the India of 2014. This will not be accepted. This is an insult to the people. Your government will have to take it back, because that's what you promised. Our first caller is Mr. Sethuraman from Chennai. Mr. Sethuraman, good evening.
Sir, good evening.
Mr. Sethuraman, good evening.
Mr. Rudy was telling that the privileges are only an extension of the business class privileges available to the passengers traveling in business class. That is not correct, first of all. Because a couple of years ago, all the business class seats were kept vacant for the arrival of the MPs. None of the seat was available to the paying passengers. When I went to the airport at 4 o'clock for a Delhi-Chennai flight, I was asked to wait till 4:30, and none of the MPs reported, and finally my ticket was confirmed. 19 seats were kept vacant in the entire flight. I wrote to the
There you
chairman
are.
Air India, yeah, 19 seats were kept vacant. Except me, there was no other passenger in the business class. This is not an exceptional privilege to the business class passengers. I wrote a letter to the Air India chairman pointing out why the Air India is incurring loss. But there was no reply, not even acknowledgement from the Air India chairman. This is the way the Air India is functioning and putting the loss on the heads of the common man who is the ordinary taxpayers. These people call themselves the VIPs. Where are those VIPs?
Mr. Sethuraman has asked you, given you a very direct example to narrate his own experience and to question the spin that you're trying to give to it. Now, I have some good news for all our viewers, as you're seeing, breaking on the news ticker right now. After 36 hours of non-stop coverage of this event, of this news story, a story which unfortunately Mr. Rudy does not have faith in. Well, it so often happens that one side of the government does not know what the other side is doing. Sometimes one side of the party doesn't know what the other side is doing. The Civil Aviation Minister, Shobha De, and I'm so happy to be able to say this, the Civil Aviation Minister has said, if people feel so, the order can be reviewed. This is a huge victory, because it will ensure that MPs go through exactly the same experience that the Aam Aadmi goes through. If people feel so, the order can be reviewed. A set of people will now look into it. These are courtesies, not privileges. We are ready to review it. Shobha De, I think the message is going home. What do you think? I think the message is going home, despite all the position.
It's about time, Arnab, it's about time the message did go home, because we voted for a new government with the hope that there will be change, and they will put service before self, which is why we call them public servants. They are there because they have to work for the citizens of this country, not the other way around. And there are enough people in India who have been inconvenienced time and time again by the completely high-handed conduct of so-called VVIPs, who feel that they can ride roughshod over any average ordinary person, which they cannot. So the minute they see these privileges being realistically trimmed down, and we don't want to deny them their privileges, they're entitled to some of them, and all good luck to them. But some of the privileges which have alienated them from the citizens of this country have to be revised, have to be looked at. And I think your channel has done a fantastic public service, and there'll be enough people who will be congratulating you if indeed this does get reviewed,
has to be
and
followed
that law, that particular circular is withdrawn.
It has to be followed. Kiran Bedi, coming to you, it has to be followed up, of course. And I think there should be a public movement whereby if you see a member of parliament getting any special treatment in an airport, which you don't, irrespective of whether you're an economy or business class passenger, I think you should just expose that member of parliament using any form that you can, reveal, expose, complain, and escalate. If a member of parliament takes any special privilege, including standing differently in a line or even getting, a refreshment that you don't, I think you need to stand up for it. KC Tyagi ji, aap taiyar hai, taiyar ho jaiye, ye sare privileges ja rahe hain. मंत्री जी ने कह दिया है, सिविल एविएशन मंत्री जी ने,
Can I say something?
कि लोग चाहते हैं तो ये सारा जो 2007 का ऑर्डर है वापस लिया जाएगा. तो जो 2014 में जो आप ये करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, आपके हाथ से निकल रहा है. Yes, Kiran Bedi wants to say something. I'm going to take some more callers. Kiran Bedi, yes.
Yes, I think I would say that if what the Civil Aviation Minister said and has responded sensitively, the fact that you flagged this issue, it has met its purpose. I think the purpose has been achieved, and I think that's the whole purpose.
I'm glad. At least some people know the validity of the news report out there. KC Tyagi ji, तैयार हैं आप? सारे privileges जाने वाले हैं.
ये आपके चैनल पर जाएंगे, सारे एमपी उसी तरह के प्रिविलेजेस एंजॉय करते रहेंगे जैसे पहले कर रहे हैं. और मैडम किरण बेदी के बारे में बताना चाहता हूं कि इन पर यह आरोप लग चुका है कि इन्होंने अपग्रेड टिकट के पैसे लिए थे, अखबारों में छपा सारे देश के, अब यहाँ बैठ करके हमें भाषण दे रही हैं.
कुछ और बात पे डिस्कशन हो रहा है, आप पर्सनल अटैक कर रहे हैं उन पे. Yes, go ahead. No, Kiran Bedi wants to respond. No, you ask the question, let him respond. Yes, Kiran Bedi.
This is defamatory. मैंने आपके ऊपर कोई पर्सनल अटैक नहीं किया, और आपके पास बिना कायदे के फैक्ट्स के आप इस मीडियम से बदनाम नहीं कर सकते गलत को. आपको क्या डेफमेशन नोटिस चाहिए इस पर? मैंने ये कहा है कि जो रूडी साहब कह रहे थे, हम सुन रहे थे कि वो कह रहे थे ये पॉलिसी क्लोज नहीं है, जो पार्लियामेंट में दी गई थी, ये पुराना सर्कुलर दिया गया था, ये आपके टाइम का सर्कुलर है त्यागी साहब। और अगर अर्नब जो कह रहे हैं कि एविएशन मिनिस्टर ने कहा है कि अगर पब्लिक को इतना तकलीफ हो रही इससे, तो मैं इसको हम लोग रिकंसिडर कर सकते हैं, वापस ले सकते हैं, हमारा पर्पस तो हल हो गया। यही तो मिस्टर रूडी कह रहे थे कि क्लोज मैटर नहीं है। तो एक तरफ आवाम की आवाज है, एक तरफ उस सरकार की तरफ से रिस्पॉन्स है। इस चीज को वेलकम करो कि अब आवाम की आवाज सुनी गई और उस मीडिया के थ्रू एक बात क्लोज कर दी गई कि हम इसको रीलुक करेंगे। I think हमारा पर्पस हल हो गया।
But Kiran Bedi, if anybody tells me today that MPs wanted to do this anyway, I refuse to believe them. Meenakshi Lekhi said less than 24 hours back, you know what she said? She made that Marie Antoinette kind of comment, let them have cake. She said, what may seem a privilege to some may be a necessity for members of parliament. As if we are a different species because we are not members of parliament. No, Renuka Chaudhary said we work 24/7 as if the rest of India does not work. Only MPs work. I am taking the next caller.
Arnab, please
Mr.
understand, every position has certain rights. It also has responsibilities. We should not forget every position comes with certain rights, but it also has certain responsibilities.
These are no rights.
And they also have certain privileges.
These are not rights.
I think we need to strike a balance.
These are not rights.
We need to strike the balance.
No, these are not rights. These are self-serving rules brought in to
and
create
I must
a
tell you
privileged class in
that
this
airlines
country.
private airlines, Arnab, private airlines sometimes give you customer service like this. And if they decide to give a customer service
this customer service
I think
must be available to
within their
Shobha, private airlines give customer service like this, being forced on them. This rule made it mandatory for private airlines to treat MPs in a different way.
Why have you forgotten me?
Shobha,
why have you forgotten me? Can I come in and tell you some more things?
I'll come to you after Shobha. I'll be democratic.
No, may I
member
please
of parliament, but after Shobha.
May I please finish?
Arnab, can I come in?
Yeah, thank you, Arnab. I'm glad to see some basic etiquette being observed on this panel. What I'd like to say is that, the minute one starts clipping the wings of these high flyers, there's going to be protest. They are going to sort of all band together and vociferously demand those rights to be reinstated if ever that they are withdrawn. So unless the citizens' voice is kept strong, and unless the people keep at it and demand that these kind of ridiculous perks and privileges that a very spoiled group of MPs has been accustomed to as if it's their birthright, not just accustomed to but often misused, that has to change. Their attitude must change. They must first perform what they're meant to perform in Parliament, work for the people, then the people will not grudge them not just business class tickets, they'll be happy to fly them first class if they're traveling abroad. But first, prove your credentials, prove yourselves, and then no hassle at all.
I think if you want to fly first class, pay for it yourself is a much better rule. I'll come to you, but after our next caller, which is Kamal Roy from Guwahati, he's a government employee. Kamal Roy, good evening.
No, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Make your point, sir. We are all listening to you. You can make your point. Our panelists will respond.
Sir, can I make an observation, sir, first?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
These MPs, why do you bring these MPs? They actually forget that they are our servants. We elect them. At the time of election, before election, they speak all sweet things. They will give us this, they will give us this, they will make Eden for us. And when they get elected, they forget us. They take away all privileges from us. And they themselves accumulate them, use them. Why these people are brought here?
Well, Mr. Kamal Roy, when there is a pressure group created, when people act as a pressure group, even the most rigid politicians have to back off, which is hopefully happening in this case. I think the Civil Aviation Minister's comment is a huge victory for citizens. We should celebrate it. We should celebrate it, and we should continue to push the politicians to be more responsible, more accountable, head on their shoulders and feet on the ground. Yes, please, one more caller. Rajiv Rudi, I'm not ignoring you. I'm coming to you after a few callers. Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai.
No, you are not
I'm flooded with calls tonight on this subject.
Nani, of course.
Flooded with calls.
You will,
Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai. He's an engineer.
You will only get callers which will add add flavor to your television channel.
Not
You will always
any
get
flavor.
callers
This is how people
who will
think,
add
Mr.
flavor
Rudy.
to your discussions. We understand.
This is how people are thinking,
Your
Mr.
philosophy
Rudy.
is to carry on that flag of hate politicians. Which
There is no hate.
well.
If
And I think which
politicians
is
do
happening
good
and what
work,
you are
they'll be
doing.
loved. If politicians want to behave like a different caste in this country, they will not be loved. Simple logic,
and
Mr.
you are
Rudy.
not talking. Arnab, you are succeeding. Actually, Arnab, you are insinuating people to lynch members of parliament on the streets. This is exactly what you are
Mr.
trying
Rudy,
to tell
all
them,
I'm
teach
saying
them
is
a
that
lesson.
when you're at an airport in a plane, you ought to be treated like a common citizen.
I understand.
Don't say things which
now
are not.
Tomorrow, my friend, what you have done today is on tomorrow, if a member of parliament has a business class ticket and a business class ticket has an entitlement irrespective of the circular for all business class travelers, if they go by the side on the business channel, you are asking them to be taught a lesson. So you are taking law in your hand, Arnab, trying to tell people, teach MPs a lesson. Now this is what you are using your channel for, help you. But what you are not trying to rationalize, you are trying to build up an argument telling that teach a lesson to these members of parliament.
I'll tell you one
and
thing.
this is what you are doing on this channel. I'm so sad. Now you are even trying to tell any man who can have a business class ticket, and if he goes by a channel, he can go. But if a member of parliament, and there are certain perks and privileges for business class ticket, you are saying, teach them a lesson. You have mixed up everything. You can get this, and you said this is a policy of the government. This is not the policy of the government. You are insinuating the people of this country to misbehave with public representatives on this channel.
This is not about.
You have asked the people to teach members of parliament a lesson. And I am sure, everyone has watched you. What is wrong is wrong for Modi government.
3 points are
and
here.
what needs to be corrected. But what Mr. Arnab Goswami is doing is insinuating people on the airport to take on members of parliament. And this is not the bureaucrats, not the journalists, not the police officers, not the judiciary. But when an identifiable politician is there, teach him a lesson, and this is the story of your day. I'm sure Kiran would know.
Mr. Rudy,
I'm sure everyone would have heard what you said today. Thank you, Arnab. No, you have done it. You have done it to the people.
There are 3 things. I'm going to go across to Partha Chakrabarti. I thought, I thought you would understand the seriousness of the news report and also understand the fact that in the India of 2014, all citizens want to be treated. All citizens want to be treated. All citizens want to be treated. Members of parliament and citizens have to operate, cannot operate on 2 different strata, and I think it is completely reprehensible that people say we are VVIPs. I think you should, on the contrary, you should punish all those people who have said today MPs are VVIPs. I want to know under which constitution, under which constitutional rule, under which law, using which judgment, can anyone make a claim saying all MPs are VVIPs? There is nothing to prove all MPs are VVIPs. MPs are common citizens. They need to behave like that. And I repeat once again, I don't think a business class passenger gets chaperoned by a lot of people, including the airport director, does not get a call saying so-and-so business class passenger is coming. There's a completely different set of rules, which is here on paper, and I suggest, Mr. Rudy, you have a look at it. I suggest you have a look at, I suggest you have a look at the circular of 2007. And I'm glad that you're about to junk it. I'm glad you're about to junk it. Our next caller, Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai. Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai. Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai. Sir, look at the circular of 2007, correct it and junk it if you feel it's appropriate. People are speaking out against it and they have a right to. You cannot censor them. Partha Chakrabarti from Mumbai.
Good evening, Arnab.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I had a small question. When yesterday you have been showing the Prime Minister and the President of the other countries how they are traveling in ordinary metro and others, why you are not displaying in front of our 2014 MPs about our father of the nation who travel by second class ordinary coach in Indian Railways? Number one. Number two is, as a children of the country, are we not following our father who had sacrificed so much? I am sure that he was more than 24/7 busy than today's MPs and MLAs. Thank you.
Mr. Chakrabarti, I thank you for your call. As I wrap this up, I just want to make 2 quick points. One, if people are listening today in government, it's because you, the viewers, are behind them, behind this entire issue. The news report is 1000% correct. We were promised an Aam Aadmi Sarkar, and I think it is the responsibility of the media to ensure that behind the promise of an Aam Aadmi, we don't create a Khas Aadmi class for members of parliament. I think it is our job to expose those facts, and Mr. Rudy and Mr. Tyagi, it has never been my practice to make politicians happy. You've not paid me any compliments tonight, but I was not fishing for any. Thank you very much for joining me.
People, boss.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy.
What you are doing is setting a completely different agenda in the politics
Mr.
of this
Rudy,
country.
Mr. Rudy, it's about responsibility for politicians, not hate politicians.
We are not insensible people. We have been in politics. What you are doing, Mr. Arnab Goswami, is actually, instead of analyzing as a journalist, you are insinuating. And you are telling that, look, these are the actions I have set a manifesto, I have said this to the government.
If what we are putting out is so wrong.
You have every right to flag an issue. Mr. Arnab, you have a right to flag an issue.
What we are saying is so wrong.
You have no right to adjudge on an issue.
What we are saying is so wrong.
Give instructions to the people.
If what we are saying is so wrong.
You are giving instructions to the people. You have on this channel, you have given instructions to the people. Teach members of parliament a lesson.
The citizens of this country,
and this is what I not expected
if they feel that the laws are being misused and they are being made to feel
anarchy. You cannot do this on a television channel telling people to teach members of parliament a lesson.
Mr. Rudy,
they are wrong, they are bad, they are terrible, they are corrupt. But you have no right whatsoever to tell members
any member of parliament,
teach them a lesson.
Any member of parliament, I repeat myself again, any member of parliament, any member of parliament who does not behave like a member of like an Aam Aadmi can certainly be exposed. There is nothing wrong with that. I thank you for joining me on debate number 1 on the News Hour tonight. Thank you very much.